Let's take a journey back in time to the Bangalore of old, a city of gardens, lakes, and fresh and cool air. In the 16th century, Kempegowda, a visionary leader, planned this city. He planned wide roads, planted trees, and made multiple lakes so that water could be ensured for all the future generations to come. As time passed, the city grew more beautiful as British turned it into a commercial hub. They planned Cubbon Park in the center of the city, and it still serves as the city's major lifeline. But before that, Lal Bagh had bloomed under the leadership of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. Lakes like Sankey, Alsur, and Belandur function as the city's lifelines as they store fresh water for our drinking, act as cooling agent, and act as a biosystem for multiple animals. As time passed, the city grew into a hub of learning and it is now a major technological hub. We can still see glimpses of the old Bangalore in the lakes, near the lakes and in the parks, but now all that is left and can be felt is the heat.
I might know why that is.
Why?
It's because of the urban heat island effect.
Tell me more.
Okay. Urban heat island effect is a phenomenon where urban areas are significantly warmer than their rural counterparts due to human activities. In rural areas you have vegetation. In urban areas you have concrete, you have asphalt and buildings.
Bangalore, once the pensioners' paradise, was known for its lush green landscapes and pleasant climate. But today, we see that the city's temperatures are soaring. We've already established that the reason behind this is the urban heat island effect. But what do you think could be the reasons behind urban heat island effect?
One thing I definitely say would be the population rise. If you look at census 2001 and census 2011 in Bangalore, there's been a rise in the population from 6.5 million to 9.6 million. And this has a cascading effects on other causal factors. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. I think this definitely has an influence on deforestation and encroachment of lakes. Now, this could be an example of increasing population. Bangalore was known as the Garden City of India few years back because of the dense tree covers and the number of lakes present in it. But between 1973 to 2000, it has lost almost 90% of its tree covers and over 50% of its lakes have either been dried up or they've been encroached upon. Now, this is a problem because trees provide shade, they reduce the surface temperatures, and they also regulate the carbon that is present in the atmosphere. Lakes, on the other hand, they act as natural cooling agents and they regulate local climate. With both of these disappearing, obviously the temperature would increase.
Bangalore's growth as the Silicon Valley of India over the past 2 decades has been much celebrated. However, it is clear that the climate of this region is no longer what it once was, and much of this has to do with how the city has grown. As green spaces have given way to concrete-heavy infrastructure, it is now far more common to see paved buildings than to see open spaces. The result is that the city's natural cooling mechanisms have declined. Impermeable materials such as concrete and asphalt dominate the landscape. They trap heat and solar radiation during the day and release it slowly at night. What happens is that the average temperature of these city regions is 3 to 4 degrees Celsius higher than those of areas with more vegetation. Bangalore's urban landscape also plays a role in this, with its tall buildings and narrow lanes that trap airflows and limit airflows and trap heat, creating an effect known as urban tanning, which ultimately intensifies warmth. The result: hotter days, warmer nights, and increased realization that there is human activities that have contributed to the decline of this once cool city. What kind of human activities? Let's find out.
Due to the previously mentioned concept of rapid urbanization, this has led to increase in purchasing of vehicles in cities such as Bangalore. That coupled with the rapid industrialization that has also taken place in these cities has led to the emission of certain pollutants such as nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide. Now these pollutants don't just harm our human health, they also tend to lead to the phenomenon that we're talking about, which is urban heat island effect. Now how do these pollutants lead to this concept? To explain that further, we have emissions such as carbon, black carbon, as well as greenhouse gases, which tend to absorb sunlight and trap heat, which is not being released. Pollutants such as smog also tend to interact with the heat in the atmosphere, and this heat tends to be trapped in the atmosphere, not even leading to its release during the night times, which tends to lead to higher temperatures during the night time as well. Other issues of urban heat also are vehicle emissions and industrial activity, which produces waste heat, which increases urban temperatures as well.
Temperature increase is one of the most obvious consequences of the urban heat island effect. This is because urban areas and areas surrounding rural areas are becoming significantly warmer, with some areas even experiencing a temperature increase of about 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. Apart from the increase in temperature, it could also lead to physical exhaustion and other serious medical illnesses. In some cases, heat waves particularly could lead to heat strokes, dehydration, and cardiovascular diseases. According to a recent research, increased temperature could also lead to increased aggression, anxiety, and even depression.
Another damaging impact of the urban heat island effect is the fact that it drives up energy consumption, particularly for cooling. As the average outdoor temperatures increase, so do indoor temperatures in homes, offices, and commercial spaces. This forces residents and businesses to rely more heavily on cooling systems, including ACs, fans, and other cooling agents. During the peak summer months, this increase in energy consumption can strain power grids. It can also impact the affordability of electricity for residents and drive up the city's carbon footprint.
It affects not only human health but nature too. When you replace trees, open spaces, and lakes with concrete roads and buildings, the temperature rises because heat is trapped.
This heat stresses trees and also reduces the green cover that they provide us, which inhibits their ability to regulate temperature. This heat also tends to reduce the moisture content within soil, which makes it less fertile for planting trees.
Water bodies like lakes, rivers, ponds also evaporate faster, leading to water shortages.
Heat in water bodies also tends to increase algal bloom in them, which tends to suffocate these water bodies and reduce oxygen within them, which harms the aquatic life within them.
Other animals and insects like bees and butterflies also struggle in this extreme heat, and their job of pollinating flowers and crops also faces hindrances. Apart from this, rainfall pattern is also drastically changing. When there is not enough green cover, the groundwater cannot seep in properly, and this causes major calamities like floods in one place and droughts in others.
Bangalore's climate is today?
It's very much hotter, not the way it used to be 20 years ago. Because I grew up here, I don't live here anymore, so I have all the reasons to say it's not what it used to be.
Could you elaborate more on what it used to be?
Calmer, quieter, much cooler, for sure. Traffic was not even a thing to be discussed anywhere else. And most of the time, if we have to go from point A to B, it used to be only public buses. Very wide roads, especially this in and around areas like Jayanagar. Wide roads, well planned and very cool climate.
Sir, how has the heat impacted you as of now?
Well, since I told you I don't live here anymore, but I have my folks who live here. Definitely it has impacted as you told, you are aware of the recent Brian Johnson podcast. Are you?
Are we? We might be. We should be.
So he's a promoter called as he's a promoter of a movement called as Don't Die. He wants to reverse his age. So he had come for a podcast in Mumbai with our own homegrown Nikhil Kamath. So he just left the interview in between, citing that the AQI, air quality index, is very poor. So Nikhil Kamath came to JP Nagar and did a AQI in JP Nagar. He found the AQI as 130. So at least one lung space of Bangalore is saved. Otherwise, AQ, just imagine We have finished at least 60-65% of our lives. Now it is up to you and your kids how you want to keep this Bangalore, you know. Definitely the AQ has impacted. That's the reason you see stresses, chronic conditions, diabetes, hypertension. Being a doctor, it qualifies me to say this.
So, from your perspective, what do you recommend the younger generations do to improve the quality of Bangalore?
Unfortunately, this is not in much your hands. That's a sad truth. For starters, you can stop buying new cars, start using public transport. Try to make a difference wherever you live. Plant some more trees. Try to recycle water, rainwater harvesting. Main thing is the main pollution in Bangalore is due to increased number of two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Or maybe if you need to buy, probably switch to an EV.
Thank you.
Bangalore was like 10 to 15 years back. How was the temperature like?
Temperature was probably 26, 28, 29 20 years back. But now with all the glass buildings, population, pollution, it's rising steadily. It's become unlivable.
Right.
It's not the Bangalore what I used to stay in earlier. Very sad.
What do you think are the reasons behind this?
Rampant commercialization and rapid urbanization. Plus, all population from all over the country come to Bangalore because they think it's the best place, weather-wise, very salubrious climate. Plus, people are very friendly. They speak all languages, and we adjust with everybody. That's the reason they all choose Bangalore.
Okay.
And we are bearing the brunt of all this, local Bangaloreans.
Do you think our generation could possibly do something to change
So
this?
definitely you can do a lot of things. First is you must decentralize Bangalore, move to the suburbs, and cut down this private transport, use metros, buses. That itself will help a lot.
Do you have anything else to say about this?
The authorities must wake up and stop the decay before it becomes worse.
Thank you so much. So, sir, what do you think about Bangalore 10 years back and how do you think it has changed now?
Madam, Bangalore used to be so chill, very, very fresh, both in water as well as in air. And obviously, it has changed over the last 5 to 10 years very drastically. We used to enjoy very cold weather for the at least maximum months of about 10 months or so, and hardly that's the case now. So, yeah, there's been a very gradual but very major shift in the last couple of years.
What do you think could be the reasons behind this?
Reasons are just as, madam. Basically, lot has changed. Obviously, people wanted more money, so we have changed our living. That has been the main reason. Water bodies have kind of dried up. We are not taking care of our water bodies any longer. The building construction has been so very heavy, very haphazard. Like a lot of glass and concrete buildings are the main cause for the increase in temperature. So, plus the various materials that we use on a day-to-day basis, like plastic and other things, even for the transportation, it all adds up to the increasing weather.
Okay. Do you think the younger generations or NGOs like the one you work in could do something to reduce this effect or this change?
Definitely, why not? Like, there's a lot that people could do, starting from taking public transportation, carpooling, many other things like saving water, and bringing in small changes with the way how buildings are constructed. We could even look at enabling a lot of green spaces, planting more trees, etc., etc. Yes, for sure, we can do a lot in terms of saving whatever the remaining environment that we have, so that at least we live some good space for next generation to live in.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Urban heat islands are not merely an inconvenience. They represent one of the most significant environmental challenges facing growing cities. To understand this phenomenon, several key measures or indexes may be considered. One is the land surface temperature or the LST. This represents the temperature of the Earth's surface as measured by satellite sensors. Then there is a normalized difference vegetation index or the NDVI, which assesses vegetation health by measuring the difference between near infrared and red light reflectance. Third, we have the land use land cover LULC, which classifies Earth's surface based on how land is utilized, land use, and its physical characteristics, which is land cover. Land use is basically describing the human activities on the land, such as residential, commercial, agricultural, or industrial purposes. Land cover, on the other hand, represents the natural or built up features on the land, like forests, water bodies, concrete surfaces, or even barren land. A comprehensive study by Kanga and his colleagues in 2022 represents a concerning trend in Bangalore, India. Between 2001 and 2021, heat built up areas in the cities have nearly doubled, expanding from 462 to 868 square kilometers. This urban growth has come at a tremendous cost. Vegetation cover shrinking from 799 to 486 square kilometers, and water bodies diminished from 34 to less than 25 square kilometers. The consequences? Urban areas experience temperature increases at more than double the rate of their rural counterparts, 0.34 degrees Celsius annually versus 0.14 degrees. Additionally, research by Roy and colleagues 2024, spanning over 3 decades from 1988 to 2020, confirms these patterns across Indian cities. Their findings clearly demonstrate that barren and impervious surfaces consistently show higher temperature anomalies, while areas converting to vegetation display cooling effects. Particularly noteworthy is their observation that even developed areas near water bodies or mangroves exhibited lower temperatures, highlighting nature's cooling capacity even without urban contexts. The comparative study of Delhi and Mumbai by Grover and Singh in 2015 further illuminates these relationships. In both cities, areas with higher vegetation, central Delhi and Mumbai's suburbs near Sanjay Gandhi National Park, maintain lower temperatures. Conversely, heavily developed areas like North Delhi and central Mumbai suffered from high heat intensity. Interestingly, while vegetation accounts for 36% of temperature variation within Mumbai, it explains only 6.37% in Delhi, which means that other factors like aerosols and surface roughness play significant roles in some urban contexts.
We have seen what the urban heat island effect is and what are its consequences. There are multiple solutions which can be implemented to help reduce its effect. Now there are some solutions which we can implement by ourselves. Other, more complicated solutions require government support. There have been multiple solutions implemented in India. Here are a few.
The first solution is to clean our water bodies. Water bodies such as rivers, lakes and ponds tend to act as cooling agents. They help in regulating temperatures in their surroundings. But unfortunately, if these water bodies are polluted, they cannot perform this function of theirs. Thus, cleaning these water bodies helps in regulating temperatures and also improving biodiversity as well. The next point that we have is to plant more trees. So planting more trees seems simple, but gets difficult to do in a place like Bangalore, which is an urban city. Planting more trees actually helps a lot because it provides more greenery and provides shades and also releases oxygen and also helps in cooling through the process of transpiration, which is very helpful to control temperatures in a place like Bangalore.
One more solution which can be implemented or has been implemented in other parts of India is the improving of the public transport system or expansion of the public transport system. This will help in reducing the heat that comes out of the exhaust of private vehicles that run on the road, and will automatically also reduce air pollution. One good option is to make bike lanes to encourage people to bike to their workplaces. Another solution that can be implemented in Bangalore as well is the even odd scheme that was implemented in New Delhi. Now the scheme had even and odd days, which means on even days, only the vehicles with even numbers ending in even number could run on the roads, and the same was done for the odd numbers as well.
Cities all around the world have come up with smarter urban planning strategies to deal with the problem of urban heat island effect. New York City, as an example, has come up with Cool Roofs program wherein buildings are are painted with reflexive materials to reduce heat absorption.
Singapore has implemented its garden city policy. Here, there are vertical forests and green roofs in the buildings.
Tokyo has introduced heat-resistant roads which reflect sunlight rather than simply absorbing it, thereby reducing the intensification of the urban heat island.
Bangalore can learn from these cities by enforcing stricter building codes that promote an energy-efficient design. Apart from this, it can also invest in large-scale urban afforestation and lake restoration programs.
Yet another solution is integrating well-designed cycle tracks into the city's urban planning. By incorporating these cycle tracks, it is possible for urban planners to mitigate the effect of the urban heat island effect. Particularly in areas of the city such as Whitefield, Electronic City and Indiranagar, which are hubs for tech professionals, cycle tracks can lead to a source of eco-friendly commuting. They can reduce the emissions caused by vehicles and they can also reduce vehicle congestion on the roads, ultimately reducing the heat that is built up. Additionally, using permeable pavement materials for building these cycle tracks can improve water retention, thereby helping to cool the surface and reduce the runoff of water that occurs during Bangalore's heavy rains.
The urban heat island effect isn't just a Bengaluru's problem. It is a global issue. From Los Angeles to Beijing, cities are experiencing rising temperatures due to rapid urbanization. But while this may seem as a crisis, it is also an opportunity. By implementing sustainable urban planning strategies, it is possible for us to create a cooler, cleaner and a greener society. It is time to act. The future of our cities depends on the action that we take today.